I don't know what happened, but there's a battle going on over preamps. Wow, it's hilarious to me. I mean, it gives everybody's thoughts on it and what's good, what's not good, and all these other things. But anyhow, um, after listening and reading a lot of comments and all, I just had to say something because just recently I had purchased a bunch of analog pre's, 500 series pre's, because I felt, it was time. I wanted to. I always wanted to. I've usually been using the audio interfaces that come with the different, or pre's that come with the different interfaces I purchased over the years. I was using UAD pre's and I was using the emulation, and I was completely satisfied with it. It worked quite well. But, I just wanted to do it. I had to do it. I felt like, I owed this to myself. Got to go do it. Anyhow, I ended up buying, and I'm looking at them here. I got two 512 API pre's. I run snare and kick. And then I have Neve's 88s. I run them on overheads. And I have one Cappy pre that I'm using on a room mic. It's right over here. You can't see it, but I use it mostly to pick up. I pick up the whole kit, but I'm using it mostly to do some things on snare. I'll maybe at some point in the future I'll put something together on that. Anyhow, back to the preamp. So I ended up being a lot of this. I wish I still had the material when I did it. I did it to a song because I really don't know how you can just listen to preamps and kind of say, well, what do my overheads sound like before or after and such. Because it's hard to say what's better than the other one unless you put it into a mix. I don't get that. You gotta put it into a mix. You don't know. So I did that, and anyhow, did they sound different? Yes. Did any one of them sound better? No. I couldn't say better. If I was forced to pick one, like if I was in the situation, it's like, you got to pick one of these. You're in the studio. Which one do you want to use? Because I have a large selection. I would have probably chose these. But if you said, oh, sorry, we don't have those right now, I wouldn't be like, oh, damn, I'm in trouble. No, I would have been like, okay, just use the other ones. I'm fine. You know what I mean? It's fine either way. Either way, the results were going to be okay. So, yeah, I mean, it didn't matter, really. Push comes to shove. It just didn't. Do I regret buying them? Hell no. Because, it's nice to have them. It's nice to have something of a higher quality. I like the tactile nature of it, right? I do like that. I like being able to touch it and not have to use a mouse and all the time. And it gives me different flavors again. It does change things a little bit, like I said. But I wouldn't sweat your material not making it or not making a grade without them. That's a fact. I am absolutely certain of that. So anyhow, there you have it. The other thing I want to point out is I'm an electronics engineer by trade. So I've been looking at this preamp thing for a long, long time. I've been doing it, my job I've been doing for over 30 years. A lot of experience, and I've worked a lot with magnetics, mostly in the power supply side of things. But I do understand magnetics fairly well. And I can tell you that a big portion of what you hear in these older pre's were the magnetics. Everybody kind of knows that. It's not all of it, though. Class A and AB and those things do figure in too. But, what we're talking about here is nonlinearities. And sometimes they're pleasing, sometimes they're not. In preamps, it tends to be pleasing because of the magnetics to some people. But I want to say that I doubt very much that when they set out to design pre's back when, they were looking to push into those boundaries and get that thing, if you will. I think it was happenstance. I really do. The ultimate goal with the audio pre is to get 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, perfectly flat, infinite input impedance, zero output impedance, infinite slew rate, so transient response, all those kind of things. Well, it's unobtainium. And back when it was especially unobtainium. You weren't going to get that. And even today, you can't get all those things. But you can do a lot of things that have gotten us closer and closer to near perfect. The problem is back when, though, when somebody finally got these preamps in their hands, audio engineers, they would start adjusting them and doing whatever was musical, as you should. You adjust based on getting a good sound, right? Whatever sounds good. So they did all these things, and slowly they started to like certain things over other things. I think there's other reasons to that beyond the tone, but just the tone I'll speak to. I think, and I'm saying I think I wasn't alive then, so I don't know, but my guess is it kind of evolved into that because they would push them harder. Notice they were getting better sounds doing it. But I would also say I wouldn't just attribute that to the preamp. I have to question what was going on downstream from the pre. Because the pre's upstream. It's right in the beginning, right? This is where you're moving air, you come in through a microphone, a transducer, you get it into into the electrical world, we'll call it. And once you have it in there, you still got a long ways to go through a mixing console all the way up to a tape machine and all the other things in there. And the whole way through that, noise back when had to be a major problem. It always is, but back then it had to be even larger a problem. So the more signal to noise you can get, the harder you can probably push things, the better things started to sound. So I can't I would never I suspect that it wasn't just the preamp by itself either. It's the whole chain, the signal chain that meant when I set the pre like this and whatever else is going on too downstream all came together to sound a certain way that became very pleasing. Due to the fact though that nothing was perfect. It was very very much imperfect in 40 50 years ago for sure. So but it became a thing and they got great recordings with it cuz that's your job. But to sit there and point fingers and say that preamp is the only way to go and without it your music will fail, that's absolute bullcrap. That's just bull. I mean, it's not. It comes. I can speak for drums. It comes down to how you play, how you tune. Tuning's a big one. Playing's a real big one. Mic placement, what you play, yeah, and all those things, which I'm working on, and the limited amount of time I have. I've been doing this. It's just part of my life. It's just what I do. But it's not. It's definitely the preamp's not gonna. It's just not gonna happen. I've worked with bad preamps. I worked on the live equipment back 40 years ago, 30 years ago. I would try to, like in band rehearsals, we had some mixers from Shure. My God, the amount of noise that came out of these pieces of junk. You wouldn't be caught dead selling something like that today. That was a bad preamp. You know what I mean? Really bad. And then you had these shining stars, which you wish you could have got because, yeah, they were on the high end still back then. A lot of hand assembly, that costs more money and so on. You add transformers, there are a lot of hand things, have to touch labor going on. That's a whole nother subject because, I work on that every day. I deal with this in my job when we design and build hardware with what I do. So, I wouldn't, I'm just saying, it's not going to make or break your song. And somebody could yell about it. I don't give a shit what you say, to be honest with you. I'm going to say it just like that. It's not. It's not. May you work a little harder doing it? Yeah, but you can get there. And the other thing I want to point out, last thing I'll say is, remember, you can't discredit the fact that these preamps have EQ sections and the knobs and the tactile nature of them. I can't imagine, because I've had my hands on some of them, when you're trying to track something and you're trying to get a sound, right? There's something about like Neves and stuff where they had these discrete settings that just fell right where you needed them to say scoop out a little bit on a snare or add a little bit of air on a snare. They fall just right where you want them to, but just by spinning the knobs and getting there. And it's very intuitive, I'd say, using it. That goes a long way, man, because if you're tracking and time is money, there's a flow to all this. And I deal with it here when I record. I set up to get a flow. The last thing you want is stuff getting in your way. And these pre's, I believe, I never worked in that world, but I have paid attention to some interviews and such, that I believe that's a big part of it too. It has a lot to do with it, that flow. And these pre's just get them there. These engineers that are famous for, great recordings. Remember though, they always worked with great artists, great material, great everything, it's a team effort. It's definitely a team sport, okay? Yeah, any of those are missing, nobody's going to be able to fix certain things. I don't care who they are. Anyhow, that's all I got. I had to say something, man. I just think people are just getting way uptight over it. I mean, do whatever it takes to make music. That's it. You figure it out. And if it sounds good, it sounds good. And that's that. So that's it. That's all I got. Anyhow, I got to go. And I'll talk to you later.